You're listening to the Staffa Corner Podcast, a Staffa-tarian look at entertainment and life with your host, Greg Staffa.
My guest this episode is talented actress Rachel Stubington, who appears as Summer in the Apple series Shrinking. Rachel, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, hello.
You have a storyline that I don't think many shows would give that to. I don't want to say you're a minor character. You're kind of on the outside circles of characters. And we just saw the whole hubbub over, Alice and Connor and you. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to Shrinking to begin with.
Oh my goodness. I know. I feel so lucky. I feel like that's Bill Lawrence's superpower is he just like you watch Ted Lasso and you see these characters who season one, were like in the background and now they have their own plots and their own side quests. And yeah, when I started on with Shrinking, it was totally like Alice's best friend. Maybe we'll be in a few episodes, if that. And I feel so lucky to have gotten to come back to season 2 and to have watched the role grow with me. And it's just kind of become its own thing. And it's the coolest opportunity in the entire world.
Now, following season 1, did they tell you, you're going to have a bigger role this season, or this is the direction we're looking at taking Summer, or is it just kind of you'll be back and you'll see what happens when you get the scripts?
I mean, you don't really. What was really nice is at the premiere, a few of the producers were like, "We'll be seeing you again." And so I, during the strike, I just kept sitting with, I'm coming back in some way. But as an anxious person, I'm always like, what if they kill off Summer? Which they won't, but hopefully. But yeah, I think in approaching this season, I would kind of, once you get a script, that the story has to go a certain way. If we're fighting, you would hope that we would make up. But a lot of these scripts I would be like, I hope we make up soon. But yeah, a lot of the times I don't really know until I see it.
Be thankful that the storyline for this season overall is forgiveness. So I think you got lucky with having the fight being this year. When you go back you're a young woman just getting involved in acting. Tell us a little bit about how that started.
Yeah, I was really bad at sports as a kid. And so my other option was plays and child theater. And I loved it so much. And one of the teachers kind of helped me get an agent from that. And then I was really bad for all of my adolescence. And then I went to college for theater and I started to kind of come into my own as a performer and figure out like what made me me and what I could use and what I wanted to share with the world. And I feel like I kind of started to figure it out when Shrinking came around. And it was just one of those perfect moments and the perfect opportunity at the perfect time.
Now, you had done some teaching before this, hadn't you?
Oh, yeah. I teach preschool.
Is that something you're still doing?
Not as much anymore. I know I get a little nervous with this season airing, how much longer I have to be able to go back to that. But
you've also done a few other things. In fact, you just had Dr. Odyssey earlier this year. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in that.
Yeah, that was right after Shrinking. And as any actor knows, it's kind of like when you stop doing one project, you're like, I'm never going to work again. So it really did come at an incredible time. And it was such a fun show to be on a boat. I felt like I was on vacation. I played a character similar to Summer in that she's doing drugs, she's kissing boys. So I'm kind of building a brand for myself, I guess. But it was like the most incredible experience.
Is that something you auditioned for? Is that something that they saw you on Shrinking and gave you?
Yeah, you know what? You get these auditions, like the Shrinking one, the Dr. Odyssey one, and you see these names. It's like, oh, you're auditioning for a Ryan Murphy or a Bill Lawrence project. And I get so nervous that I kind of my anxiety shuts down a little bit. So I feel like I locked in, but they were both self-tapes.
You came up at a perfect timing. I mean, especially with Shrinking, we had COVID, which locked everything down. So as an actress, it must have been hard. And then the strike happened, and so that passed. But then Shrinking came, and that opened the door. Are you seeing more opportunities now that Shrinking is out there, or do you think after these latest episodes, that'll open the door for you more?
I mean, it's slow right now because of the holidays. I think that the industry as a whole has kind of slowed down post strike and trying to figure out what the new normal is in Hollywood. I'm hoping. Dr. Odyssey was after shrinking. I feel like I'm trying to focus on like the now of things and just getting to see everyone's current reaction to shrinking. And like, I'm so deep in the Reddit comments about every episode. So like just, seeing how many people are loving this season and like seeing Summer, I think that for me feels like such a career high.
Now, you're filming with a bunch of, I mean, Harrison Ford and all those. It's a high caliber cast, but you also have the actress that plays Alice, and you have the actor that plays Connor. So you have a wide kind of gap in between the main actors and then the younger high school students. Is that something that you feel that after in between takes? Is there kind of like you guys divide up into your own little groups, or is that a welcoming atmosphere for a young actress to be able to hang out with a Harrison Ford or others like that, or are you kind of treated as the new young kids?
So the hard thing is, I feel like this show has really spoiled me in that you're working with you're working with Harrison Ford, you're working with Jason Segel, and they go so far beyond out of the way to make you feel welcomed and to include you in everything. I feel like between takes where we were all in scenes together, we all sat together and like everyone's joking around with each other and, like, to the point where now I don't think I could accept anyone ever being rude to me ever because if Harrison Ford can be nice, like, so can you. But no, it is the most welcoming, kind cast that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And, Lukita, like, I don't have words for how lucky I feel that I have her with me because when I first joined, it was like the first thing I really ever did. And you want to look like you know what you're doing.
Hmm.
But like between takes, I kind of be like, where do I go? And she was so helpful in like, making it look cool, but also being like, oh, you sit over here on the side. So I think it's that great mix of it's so cool working with all calibers of people and ages, but also having a friend that I feel like I can talk to. Well, I mean, I can talk to anyone, but like just having someone, your age that you can talk to.
You got some. I mean, you're a very young actress. You've only done a few things, but you're really making a name for yourselves. Are you getting a lot of great advice from like the Harrisons and the rest of those, or is it just through watching them and how they act and treat people?
I mean, seeing how they treat people is really like Jason goes out of his way to like introduce himself to everyone and like Harrison Ford is so polite, like everyone's so nice that I just kind of think it reinforces, the people who are going to work are people that you want to work with. And seeing these pros who have been working for so long be so kind to everyone just kind of reinstates how important it is to like show up and do your job, but also be enjoyable to work with.
Yeah, was there at any point that you kind of had like a fangirl moment that just for a moment you kind of were like, can't believe I'm doing this?
Oh, literally it's a weird combination because every time I'm there, you're on the Warner Brothers lot. Like it's all I've ever dreamed of. And like I've been such huge fans of everyone in this cast. But then also like I wanna be normal. So it's a weird thing in my body to try and like push aside where I am and who I'm with and like try and just let myself feel like this, oh, I'm just at work for the day. It's a weird combination, but I fangirl all the time.
You appear in, I think, 5 episodes this season. How many days of filming is that? I mean, are you just there for a day and you're filming several different episodes, or are you there for a day or two and then come back?
Yeah, the weird thing is like, whenever I'm wearing a different outfit, it's probably a different day, but there's also a difference in when you see a scene shot inside the house versus when we're outside the house. Like in episode 2, there's a shot where like I'm like, "Oh my god, introduce me to your neighbor." And then we go outside and you would assume like, "Oh, they shot that in the span of 2 minutes," but they have to do different days because it's interior versus exterior.
Hmm.
So there's it's weird watching things and being like, "Oh, that looks like it took 5 minutes." And I'm like, "Nope, I was there 12 hours." Like things take longer, but Yeah, what was nice is I would come like once or twice a week. I'd get to hang out with everybody, and like I gotta rely on that as my schedule, and it was the coolest thing in the entire world.
Now, how much of the story are you given outside your own story? Are you watching each episode as they're released, going, "Holy crap! I can't believe that was what's going on while I was doing this," or are you given the whole picture when you get a script?
So last season I was only in 4 episodes, so, like, literally, like, when the boop happened, I was like, "Oh my god," because 'cause I'm a fan of the show too. But this one, because I'm in 9, like, I get the scripts for all the episodes, and I'm so excited to figure out what happens in everyone else's life that I get to read it beforehand. But in the episodes I'm not in, I didn't know what happened in the pilot at all, so
Now, I have a little bit of a spoiler question. The episode's already aired, but I have a deep inside Hollywood question. The fight where you attack Ellis, was that you making that dive, or was that someone else?
So in the final cut, I don't know. I actually know. I'm not going to take credit. I'm sure we had stunt doubles, but at the same time, we did it so many times too. It didn't look as good. But, they want to make sure they get shots of you doing it as well because if they have to cut back and see your face, you can't have someone else.
Sure.
But it was the trippiest experience because they have these 2 women that one of them's wearing, like, this curly redhead wig, one of them's wearing exactly what Lukita was wearing, and they would, pause us, and then they would tap in and do the jump to a more extreme level. So, I feel it looks really good to them. If there's parts where you're like, "That looks like the wimpiest slap I've ever seen," that was me.
I hate to ruin it for anyone out there that was overly excited, but I had to ask, and since it's already aired, I've figured I'd ask. How fun is it to play Summer? Because Summer, I mean, I get the feeling from talking to you, you're not as ditzy as Summer is, and I mean that in the politest ways. That attitude that she carries with herself, and how much of that do you see in your own self? Not necessarily the ditziness, but just kind of that free spiritedness.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about playing Summer is the thing she says. Like, every time I get a script, I know that I'm gonna have funny jokes, which is the best feeling ever to feel so confident about the things you get to say. But, being 24 and playing a younger character, I think I get to tap back into how confident I felt my senior year of high school. You're in school, you haven't paid taxes yet. Like I just feel like I felt so confident about my future and getting to tap back into that feeling of confidence and, like not dealing with my quarter life crisis. It's such a fun flip and such a cool switch to the anxiety I feel now.
One of the things I want to deviate a little bit from shrinking is you brought it up that you're 24 and you're playing a much younger woman. In Hollywood, are you seeing it as you grow as an actress and you're getting more scripts and getting more recognized? Is there a pull to bring you into adulthood? Do you feel that you kind of still at that kind of balancing point where you could go either way, and it's the roles really depend on what you're feeling?
Yeah. I think at the moment I'm still doing more of the younger. I mean, like, at least that's what I've noticed is I feel like I still go out a lot for high school age, which is, again, like I love reminiscing on how I felt in high school. And like, I'd much rather worry about a math test than like the parking tickets I have to pay off. So I still think for now, I don't know. I sometimes see the wrinkles on my forehead and I'm like, maybe I should start using retinol. But I think for now, I'm still playing younger. I really do feel like I through playing Summer, we're just seeing this switch overall in the kind of material they're giving younger girls. And I
Mhm.
think they're making characters so much more complex and deeper. And I like really love getting to play in that space. So I think for now, I'm hopefully going to try and stay in high school as long as I can.
I think a lot of it too has to do with the producers and the writers and everything like that. I mean, Ted Lasso, you brought it up. This is the same group that did Ted Lasso, and
Hmm.
you look at some of the the characters on that show, and how they were. I mean, so many of those characters could have been older, ditzier Summers, and yet they were strong, smart, articulate women that were given great storylines. And I think we're really seeing shows like Ted Lasso and Shrinking giving women real strong roles that are not sexualized as much as they might have been a few years ago, but treated with great respect and great character arcs, and like you were
Yeah.
given.
And I think that has to do too with like women in the right. I think there's so many talented writers on this show and so many talented female writers who understand the nuances of being in high school deeper than like, oh, I'm going to a but I think they really understand how people think. And I'm sure a lot of personal experiences have gone into these episodes. So it's fun playing a character that has deeper substance than just trying to get her to drink. Like I really think they put a lot of thought into Summer, and you get to see so much more of that in this season. And it helps me, and it makes my job so much easier to be like, oh, she thinks this way because this part of her childhood, and you learn so much about her home life and why she doesn't like being home.
How much time are you given before you know if you're going to be involved in season 3? Is it something that you just have to sit and wait, or is there kind of like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge? You're going to be back.
I'm hoping it's a wink, wink a little bit. I don't you, but again, I'm such an anxious person. I'm like, they're gonna open on Summer being dead, but no, I would hope. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
You mean too many dryer sheets to get out of a DWI?
That is what took her out. Yeah.
I'm not an actor, but watching Harrison Ford not only talking about you or your character, but also singing the Cheater Bitch song, and just watching how much he's not necessarily interacting with your character, but bringing up your character and liking the Cheater Bitch song, it's just been hilarious. And I'd be like, God, if that was me, that was the character, I'd be so just, holy crap, Harrison Ford is acknowledging me.
Oh, it's the coolest ever.
The Cheater Bitch had a TikTok video made that they show briefly. Is that the extent of the video, or is there a longer version out there?
Oh my! So a little Hollywood insider secret. I was expecting, because they sent me the song and they were like, we're gonna have you record it while you're there on a day, and I kind of assumed I would just get a phone and record a few on my own and send it to them. But they shot it like they shoot other scenes. They have everyone in the crew there. Brett was there too. And they were like, yeah, just show us what you got. So I had to do it in front of the entire crew. And they're like, just throw in whatever dance you'd want to do. The song is so great in itself. But yeah, we did. There's it's not so much longer. There's no more lyrical, there's no more lyrics in it. But yeah, I had to do a bunch of takes of, it was probably a 15-second just cheater bitch, cheater bitch. But it's pretty magical.
Well, hopefully they give it to you to put on your Instagram or something like that, where you can share it to everyone else. Although I don't know how they would take it, not knowing the context. So you have to be a little bit of warning. Speaking of Brett, what was it like? I mean, you had mentioned Ted Lasso, so I assume you've seen the show. What was it like seeing his character there versus his character in this series? And which is closer to the real him?
Yeah, that's a good question. He's not mean. He's not I know when I watched Ted Lasso and then I met him, I was like, oh no, he's gonna be fuck off. But he's the nicest guy ever, and he's so funny. I don't know which one is closer. I think he's such a good actor that he plays these roles so far from him. But getting to work with him was so exciting, especially because he was there last season, but more in the background. Mm-hmm. And getting to interact with him as an actor was so exciting.
His story is simply amazing. I mean, not just because of the success of Ted Lasso, but from what I understand from interviews and stuff like that, and I haven't interviewed him personally, but he was writing Ted Lasso, and he was writing the Roy Kent character, and as he was doing it, he was saying to himself, I could do this role. This sounds like a role that I could pull off. And so he sent in an audition, and he's like, if you guys think this is stupid, just ignore it, but I think I can do this. And it turned into one of the great characters of the series just by taking that chance. I think not a lot of us in life and our work kind of see an opportunity and say, I want to take a chance at work and do something out of my my box a little bit because I think this is for me. And he ended up doing it, and they loved it, and it created one of my favorite characters on television in years. And so, kudos to him. But then to see him play the complete opposite. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks 20 years younger. He's timid, and it's a great. When we forget these people are acting, and so to see that differential between those two is simply amazing.
Oh, 100%. And the fact that he does, like, in between these heavy, dark roles, he's, like, touring with his stand-up. It just speaks volumes to how talented of a person he is.
Is there someone on the set that you cling to or made surprisingly friends with, or who's someone that you're closest to on the set that you're like, wow, this is a friendship that I've made that will last beyond shrinking?
Oh, I love everyone there. Like, at the premiere, I just getting to it feels like seeing old friends. I love Jason. He is the kindest and funniest person to be around. I think Michael Yuri. I mean, I could literally list all of them. It is fun though. You mentioned the age dynamic. There's a lot of younger people in this season, and so it felt kinda cool to get to like, when I came and I didn't really know anyone, Lupita was so friendly and showing me around, so it's been kinda fun to have newer people come along and getting to feel like I can take on that role a little bit. I don't know if you're gonna meet them by the time comes out, but there's a lot of great cameos and exciting stuff to come.
Yes, there are. And I've seen right now we're on episode 7 going to be released when this airs, and I've seen 11. So there are some fun cameos coming up. So you worked as a teacher. You've done a lot of commercials. You also are producing your first short film. How is that going?
Oh my goodness. Yes, you do your research. It has been so like fun and rewarding, but it has also made me question the sanity of anyone who produces. It's very difficult, but we're editing now, getting to write with my best friend, like something that we're so proud of, and making that vision come to life has been so rewarding. And I'm really hoping to continue writing. And, getting to do this while doing shrinking has just shown me how many opportunities there are to like Brett, you can be a writer, but then you can also decide you want to act and you can kind of take on all these different roles. And that's so welcomed in Hollywood. So I hope to continue with that.
Without giving too much away, can you tell us a little bit about what the short film's about?
Yeah, it's about these. My friend and I went to UCLA together, and we found ourselves doing a lot of student films that felt like so chaotic, and you weren't getting paid, and you'd be staying all these crazy late hours. So it's just about these two misguided directors who want to make the next Oscar winning movie with like a $200 budget and an iPhone camera, and all the chaos that ensues from that.
Going from UCLA, I mean, I'm sure that as a student, there's a lot of things that are kind of imprinted and embedded in you of what to expect as you grow as an actor and actresses. What's kind of been the biggest misconception that maybe school not necessarily taught you, but imprinted or had you worried about that when you got onto a set like Shrinking and had a character that you were able to kind of evolve over 2 seasons uh, was surprising to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference between what I was learning in school, because I was a theater major, is that when you spend weeks and weeks perfecting a monologue and you do it once and then you're done. Like you get one good take of that monologue and you finish and you think, "Oh, I've done it as an actor. Like that is good acting." But with a TV show, you do it so many times and you do it so many different ways and you have to be quick and on your feet and there's not as much time to think. So I think I'm trying to learn through doing shrinking how to make my process so much faster and how to absorb things quicker and how to keep things fresh after several different takes. But when you have actors as good as the actors on shrinking, like it's so easy to like forget about what you're doing at all and just watch the people in front of you, that it helps you keep things fresh, which is good. But yeah, just learning how to keep the stamina to keep going.
Is there much improv on Shrinking for either your character or other characters, or is it so well written that you just trust what the writers have you saying?
It's a mix. It's, first of all, we get these scripts that are fantastic. And then sometimes I still teeter on what's better to do. What's great is a lot of times they'll say, like, Bill will come and say, okay, right here, after you say this line, like, we just kind of want to see what would happen. Like, just talk about, and he'll give you a subject. And that's been really fun. You get the freedom to improv, but then at the same time, there's never so much pressure like, "Oh, I need to think of the funniest line right now," because if you can't think of anything, you have the joke in the script, which is already such a good joke, but there's a ton of freedom to improv, which is, such a dream on a comedy set.
Now you've done, I mean, your star is quickly rising. You're becoming more and more well known, and things like Shrinking and Dr. Odyssey are helping expose you out there to audiences. You're no stranger to doing red carpets and stuff like this, which I greatly appreciate. Is there any question that you wish more people would ask about you that no one ever does? I mean, it's obvious. We're obviously going to say, tell us what drew you to the role. Some of these questions are just you've answered before. Is there anything that you wish people would have wanted to know this a little bit about me more?
That's a really good question. Um, Boy, I gotta think. I mean, you've been asking great questions. I don't know.
What's something about you that would surprise other people that I mean, because a lot of the roles that we take, I mean, we look at Harrison Ford, who's had a growth of career, or a well-known career, but we think of him as Han Solo. We go back to him as Indiana Jones, even though these are
Yeah.
roles he played, 20, 30 years ago. But that's how we identify him. Uh, when we're looking at you, because Summer is the closest thing that you've done, or the biggest thing that you've done, I'd say. We looked at you as Summer, but you're not Summer. What's something
Yeah.
that's totally separate from you from Summer that would surprise someone to learn about you?
The weird thing is, I mean, I feel like this fits with Summer, but I love comedy. Like, all I've ever wanted to do in my entire life is to make people laugh and to play a role that would fit in, like, an ensemble comedy. So sometimes I do think people, like, I'm much older. No, I'm not kidding. I'm a little bit older than Summer. I have more adult responsibilities than Summer. I cannot drink as much as Summer, but I don't mind being so closely aligned with her and people quoting her, like my friends quoting her to me, just because she's so funny. I feel like she's a great friend to Alice, and she says the, like, craziest stuff, and I love being associated with someone who brings joy to the show and who gets to say all these funny things. So, I mean, like, I'm not, like that, but I feel so much room within her to, like, get to make jokes, and she has such a niche sense of humor that it's such an honor, as someone who wants to be a comedian, to get to play inside of that.
Now, I'm old enough to be your dad. The thought of having a younger child your age is frightening to me. I can't imagine raising a daughter in this day and age. I joked earlier that
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of younger women have OnlyFans page. You go to their
Mhm.
Instagram and it's like check out my OnlyFans page. As an actress, I mean, you're a young, beautiful woman. You're making that transition. Is there steps that you've taken? I mean, you sound like your head's on screwed on right. Is there steps that you're taking as you grow as an actress? You become a little bit more famous. You become a little bit more recognizable. Is there things that you're doing to, I don't want to say protect yourself, but adjust as your fame and popularity grow that you have to be more mindful of?
I mean, like, I joke about reading the Reddit comments, but at the same time, I think, just as an actor in general, no matter where you are in your career, learning to find certain people that you really trust. And, you know, I can ask my mom if I was good in an episode and then not care about what anyone else says or anything else I see online or any DM I get. I think I've just kind of learned that there are people in my life that I love very much and whose opinions I trust and respect and whose voices I think need to be heard. And then you just kind of have to learn how to tune out anything that doesn't feel like you, or any pressure you might feel, or any, criticism, or like push in a direction that doesn't feel true to yourself. Because I'm not big enough to compromise how I feel about myself, and to not do the things that make me happy.
Well said. Tom Holland, who played Spider-Man in the MCU, he had a quote, and he's actually quoting someone else, and I'm gonna completely butcher this quote, but I got the gist of the quote from him. But he had talked about fame, and he said, if you have a problem with anything I'm doing, call me. And if you don't have
Mhm.
if you don't have my number, then you're not important enough to me to care about what you think. I kind of thought that
Yeah.
was a well said thing. If it was kind of what he said, I'm sure I botched up a little bit, but it was basically, why am I gonna let some guy in his basement, on a Reddit thing, make a comment that hurts my feelings when that
Oh,
guy has never met
100%.
me and never. But I think there is that feel of being toxic of when you say you read all your Reddit comments. I mean, I can't believe I would want to see a shrink after doing that if that was me, just because of everything that's out there, and you know, guys are creeps and people are mean, and no one can find positivity these days. And so, kudos to you for kind of having your head on straight. And it just has to be rough out there, not only as an actress but as a young woman. But I applaud you for that. What's coming up next for you? Anything that we can look forward to with shrinking, winding down?
Yeah, I'm like, who knows? Nothing fully set in stone yet. I might be doing a movie in a little bit. I Season 3 of Shrinking, I think, starts in January, maybe,
Oh,
is what
wow.
I'm reading. I think. Don't quote me on that one. But yeah, I think I really want to see Shrinking to the end, and then figure out where to go from there.
Now you do a lot of commercials. Are you still doing? You've done like IHOP and other stuff. Are you still doing a lot of commercials?
Yeah, I have a commercial callback tomorrow. I'm actually right after this. I like auditioned for a commercial, and then the tape got corrupted. I don't know what that means, but I have to go back and reshoot it after this.
It
So yeah, you
it,
know,
ha- it
yeah.
happens. I just had that happen to me a couple episodes ago, where I recorded something and went to play it back, and there was nothing. She was completely silent. Just her lips were moving, and nothing was there.
Oh
So that's
no.
frustrating. Do you ever get? I mean, I doubt this, but do you ever kind of go to one of these auditions for a commercial for IHOP and say, "I just had a scene with Harrison Ford. I think I can sell your pancakes."
What's funny is this literally wasn't I. So I for the table read, we did a table read for episode 2 of this season. And it was the first time I'd been back post strike, so you kind of like forget, I'm in a room with all of these people again. And it's like, how lucky am I? And I left that table read being like, I am the biggest thing in the world. And then I drove to Denny's, no, maybe it was IHOP, audition to play party girl number 2, acting as such a way of humbling you so quickly.
Well, I mean, hey, if it pays the bills, it pays the bills, and
It
so.
pays the bills, exactly.
So finally, I want to follow up with some quick speed round questions, and if you don't mind doing that, and other than that, I really
Yeah.
thank you for coming on, and
No,
really
thank you for
enjoyed it.
having
And
me.
it's been a blast watching your character grow, and one of the things I enjoy about doing this, I mean, I've been doing reviews and this kind of stuff since 2012, but what I've learned is that you write about writers, and those writers go on to be showrunners, and the showrunners become, next thing they're producing great TV shows, and so
Uh-huh.
people are always kind of moving up, and so it's kind of fun to get them in when they're younger and just getting started. So 5 years from now, maybe I'll have you back on, maybe sooner than that. But talking about the successful movie that you were just in, and it's also kind of fun watching these people grow and being there, saying, well, you were kind of part of that. But let's do some speed round questions. Say the first thing that comes to mind or first answer. Don't have to do too deep, but there's about 12 of them here. So,
Okay.
texting versus talking.
T- Texting, talking.
Favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in.
New York City.
Nickname your parents used to call you.
Reach?
Last song you downloaded.
Downloaded. Oh my goodness. I've been in a Bowie kick right now.
Okay. Any particular song or just him in general?
Blue Jean.
Favorite holiday?
Halloween?
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No, I don't think so.
Scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
7.
First celebrity crush?
Zac Efron.
Place you want to most travel?
I really want to go to Japan.
Favorite junk food?
Dots, those gummies.
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Strawberry.
There we go. And final, last question. What advice do you have to young women that are looking up to you, seeing, you're starting off, you're doing commercials, you're a successful character on a TV show, but you're really at the, I hate to say it, but you're really at the beginning of your career. And you have a lot of room to grow, and I fully think that you are going to do that. But what advice do you have to a young woman that's looking at you? Do you feel like you are a role model to younger women that are looking at either becoming an actress or just being a woman in general?
I don't know if anyone's looking to me, but I think for me, success, I used to think was just like, oh, you every day grow a little bit. But I think success is so up and down, and just trying to figure out what in your life truly matters to you outside of your career is so important, and finding hobbies that fulfill you and surrounding yourself with people that really care about you, because that's only going to make your work and everything you want to do so much better.
And do you plan on doing more producing or writing in the future?
Oh, yes. I really hope to keep writing and maybe less producing, but I love writing.
Any interest in directing?
No, none at all. Isn't that fun? I feel like every actor, all they want to do is direct. We have Zach Braff directing, who's fantastic at it. I just have no interest.
Well, Rachel, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Hope to have you on in the future talking about something else. But really enjoyed your character. Really enjoy. You are the kind of the younger humor, because Alice isn't really given much humor for her role, given what her character is going through this season. And so you kind of are the sunshine for her character, which is a blast to see. But it's very entertaining. I look forward to seeing where your future goes, and sincerely appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you so much. You asked such fantastic questions. It was so nice talking to you.
Thank you.
That does it for this episode. Thank you for listening to the Staffa Corner.